Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And yes, don't you like my bright blue t-shirt which I've dug out? And that, of course, Tanzania is the country of my birth, so brings back memories, that's for sure. Now, talking about memories, we're going to be talking to a fellow who's actually a few years older than me, which is nice change. And it's Ottie Thirion, who's a Freemason, or used to be a Freemason. In fact, he got up to the 18th degree. So he knows a lot about Freemasonry, and he's going to be sharing some of the secrets and why he got out of Freemasonry. Now, you might recall a couple of years ago, we had a live stream where this guy came on who was not involved in Freemasonry, and some of the stuff he was saying was so ridiculous that we basically terminated the live stream halfway through. And the comments being made in the side chat were quite extraordinary. People were getting really pissed off with this guy. So that's the only live stream out of thousands that we've had on Loving Life TV that we've ever terminated halfway through. Okay, so I'm going to get Ottie on, and as I say, we're going to be talking about Freemasonry and why he left Freemasonry. And I do have to tell you that Ottie has got load shedding. It's just come on, and we've just finished a pre-recording. So this is pre-recorded, but it was only done or started about an hour ago, so it's pretty fresh. All right, here we go. Let's get started. Hi, Ottie.
Hi, Scott. Good evening, or a good morning at least on your side of the world.
A good, very, very early morning, but that's all good. Now, Ottie, we're going to be talking about Freemasonry tonight. And there's a lot of controversy about Freemasonry and a lot of alternative media suggesting that it's involved with the one world government and all sorts of things, and Satanism and child kidnapping, etc., etc. And tonight we're going to hear it from someone who's most of his life has been involved in Freemasonry. And you actually got up to quite a high level in Freemasonry, didn't you? What level did you get up to?
I got up to the 18th degree in the English Constitution, but it's basically, it means the 18th degree. From there, the next step would be the 30th.
Wow.
And then you're already on dangerous ground because there are only 33.
Okay.
So the 18th is the so-called Christian degree.
Okay.
But I hate to disappoint your viewers if I have to admit that I've never been involved in any of those controversial things. I've never overthrown a government, I haven't killed anybody yet, and I also never harmed kids.
Well, there you go.
I actually got involved in Freemasonry because these people
Hang on. We'll get to that just now. Let's not jump the gun.
Okay. Well,
Let's start off with. Okay. Now you were born in 1949 in Namibia, and
49 years.
yeah. What aroused your interest way back then in Freemasonry? I'm talking about the, say, 1960s, 1970s.
Yes. What really aroused my interest, my late dad had a very good friend, a Jewish guy old Bob Klut, and he was really such a kind, nice old gentleman. And I asked my dad once, are all the elderly people like that? Because he was really old.
Yeah.
He said, no, this guy is a Freemason. They a different kettle of fish. And from then I really started looking at these guys. And whenever somebody really impressed me, invariably I found that he was, as we call it, on the square. And which caused me to investigate this whole thing. Because the people that I looked up to, the people I would have wanted to rub shoulders with, were Freemasons.
Okay, so
that's what aroused my interest.
So they were nice people, is what you're saying.
Very much so. Impressive people, people of a good character, steadfast people.
Right. Okay. So how did you get involved with Freemasonry? How did you join?
Okay, what happened, I was under the impression I would have to be invited. And I had a neighbor in Windhoek at the time, and my wife just spoke to him, not even knowing that he was a Mason.
Yeah.
And then he said, but it doesn't work like that. You have to apply. And he told me what to do. Just write a letter, tell them you're interested. And he even gave me the address, which I subsequently did. And then they contacted me after receipt of my letter and arranged for an interview. It's like applying for a job.
Okay. And when you or before you joined, did you go before like a committee of the Freemason elders and have a little interview, and so they ask you questions, etc.?
Three people that screened me, and sorry, I've got a pest of flies here. It's getting summer here.
Yeah.
So obviously enjoying the end of the world as well.
Yeah.
They screened me, and they asked me a few questions, and one invariably being, do you believe in God? I thought, well, people ask me stuff like that on an interview, they must be serious about religion.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that point where
yeah, we'll get to that shortly.
What I initially thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you've told me about your impression regarding members. Once you had joined, did you find it was like a brotherhood? It was like, you know, and you have the special handshake and all this sort of stuff?
Yes, it's very much like the impression I got is like a social club with people of good standing. Because they were really nice people and there was nothing underhanded about them. Yeah, we had our lodge meetings, and after that we came together socially, had a few drinks, which sometimes got a bit out of hand, but that's also up to the individual. Nobody was forced to open it up.
Yeah.
And as I say, these people were really, really nice people. You would find the odd one out in any society, but for really the love of God, I can't remember anyone at that stage who didn't live up to the standards that they led me to believe that they live up to.
Right. And if someone was caught, let's say, stealing from a school trust or something like that, and they were a Freemason, were they just kicked out?
Yes, well, they were definitely, the master would have called them in, and I think to do the honorable thing, if it happened while I was in the chair, I would have asked a person like that to resign.
Right.
Obviously, when I was sure that he was really dishonest, it's it's not just an allegation, and then it doesn't work like that. But if I was convinced this person was not living up to the standards, I would have asked him to resign.
Right. Now, when you're a Freemason, what are the commitments of members, within the lodge?
Yes, well, first of all, when you join Masonry,
you have your lovely time with flies.
Yes, these flies weren't there in winter at that stage. It must have been winter. They asked me, one of the first things on the night of my initiation, do you believe in God?
Yeah.
And had I answered no, I wouldn't have been admitted.
Right.
And while, if we get back to my application, you also get screened, not only by the committee, but your name is then, if I can talk about my own history in the Southwest Africa at the time, present-day Namibia, my name was then sent to all the lodges in that country.
Wow.
And they were supposed to give feedback. And anything negative would have been investigated. And then before they finally let me know whether or not I would be admitted, you get to vote with balls. It's like marbles, a white one and a black one.
Yes.
And it's something like a little drawer which is covered. You put a ball in there without, there's a cloth over it. Nobody can see who put in what. If there's one black ball, you're not admitted. I know there was one person who was definitely not of a steadfast character in a place called Otjiwarongo who applied, and I told these people not to admit him because he was actually a well-known guy of ill repute. So,
okay, yeah.
If there's one black ball, you're out. They don't admit you. They don't even give you a reason. They just tell you, no, they made their investigations, and unfortunately, you won't be admitted. And just for interest's sake, our district Grand Master in Windhoek at a time, he went to the Grand Investiture to London. And at the dinner afterwards, he was seated next to the Grand Master of one of the Central African countries. And this guy told him, in their country, if they don't want you to be admitted, they whiteball you. Instead of blackballing like me. But that's just on a lighter vein. There's nothing malicious about it.
Yeah. Now,
so,
getting back to the commitment of members, even after a bomb is in the lodge, tell me about that.
We had M26 hand grenade thrown into our lodge at the after the lodge meeting, when we had the social get-together in that hall, somebody threw a bomb in there, and it actually turned out it was one of these right-wing people who believed that there's a big Masonic conspiracy going on. At the time, it was when the Southwest Africa was to become Namibia, and everyone believed the Masons are behind all this. There was a rumor that the Administrator General at the time, a certain judge, was a Freemason. But maybe out of respect for the consequences, he never attended a lodge meeting. So as far as I'm concerned, it could have been an urban legend. But rumor was that he was a Mason, and they actually wanted to kill him that evening.
Wow.
And unfortunately, a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, he was a chemist. He got killed that evening. All the shrapnel hit him in the chest, and he got the full blast of it. On the way to hospital, he suffocated. Basically, he drowned in his own blood.
Oh, no.
But that only made us sort of got us closer together as Masons.
Yeah.
There was one guy who resigned, and I think it was pressure from his mother, who understandably thought he might also get killed. She doesn't want him involved, and he was a young guy, and
Yeah.
said no, he'd rather. But as for the rest, we just got closer together. We put burglar proofing up and the necessary stuff to prevent people from getting through the windows. And we just became a more close-knit community.
Right.
After that.
Now, if you're a Freemason in, let's say, Namibia, and you go on holiday to the United Kingdom, is there a way that you can actually go to a lodge in the United Kingdom and join them there?
Definitely so. I was in the English Constitution.
Yeah.
My membership certificate was signed by the Grand Secretary in London.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even the United States, if you visit anywhere, you get screened. There are different degrees. Like if the lodge is working in the third degree, which is normally the top of the craft lodge, the Master Mason's degree,
Yeah.
they won't allow you in unless you've proven that you are a third degree Mason. So if you're on the second degree, they'll allow you in, but as with their own members, when it gets opened in the third degree, they get escorted out, and afterwards they join up again. But you can definitely go in, visit the people. As I say, you get screened. There are handshakes. There are certain words.
Yeah.
They will know if you are on that degree, and they will allow you in without. In fact, they'll actually welcome you in there.
Right.
Because at the festivities afterwards, you would get an opportunity to speak, and you would then get up and say, "I bring you greetings from the Grand Master of Namibia."
Yeah.
The District Grand Master of Namibia.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
secrecy seems to be one of the things that freaks out people who are not Masons. You know, there seems to be a lot of secrecy when it comes to what goes on. Is that just part of the tradition, or is there a reason for that?
Very much so. It's part of the tradition. The secrecy is that there is really no secret. You can Google now. I actually did a test just recently on it.
Yeah.
Obligation taken by a Mason in the third degree, and the whole thing is available on the internet. You can take it word for word.
Right.
The secrecy is there is really no secret, but I think there's subversive things behind the screens, which can I tell you, or this will lead to why I actually got a bit more cautious.
Yeah. Well, what created suspicion about the Masons in your mind?
A few things like that. One of them being the very first one, the belt buckle. You know, you wear an apron.
Yeah.
And the buckle is in the form of a snake. It's like a S.
Yeah.
It just hooks in. This just coincidentally, but I don't think so. It's actually got a headlight. It's formed like a snake, and it looks like a snake.
Mm.
And we all know what a snake means in Christian terms.
Yeah.
That started to make me look around a bit about this whole setup. And then I saw the obligations you undertake. We're not supposed to do swearing. You know, the Bible is very clear on that. God doesn't want us. Let our yes be our yes.
Yeah.
And no. Then you take the solemn obligation, solemn oath, like an entered apprentice, your very first degree. You say, if you break any of the secrets entrusted to you, you can have your tongue torn out by its roots, thrown at the cable tow's length from the sea where the birds of the air can devour it. And then you end up by saying, so help me God, and this is my solemn obligation of an entered apprentice Freemason. Now that is not very much what I thought we should do, invoke God.
Yeah.
That's blasphemous. I mean, why invoke Almighty God in something as trivial as that? Because nobody's going to tear out your tongue. It's a waste of words. It's really slandering God's name.
Yeah.
And those obligations are taken in every degree. The second degree, you don't mind having your heart torn out and thrown away. The third one being severed and twain. And the secrets are the grip, certain words, and I mean, these things are all available on the internet.
Yeah.
The very first one, if you're in the army, you come in, you salute an officer. I'm sure you do that in Australia as well.
Yeah, yeah.
With a cap on your head. In Masons, the first degree, you do this. Getting ready for master, and you salute him like that, implying you'd have your throat cut across, your tongue torn out. And I think these are actually vile things which made me worry a bit about this whole setup.
And what do you do with the second degree?
In the second degree, your heart torn out, they very much say it's a traffic cop degree. You touch your breast like that,
Yeah.
and your hand goes up. So having your heart torn out.
Ah, okay.
But it looks like a traffic cop directing traffic.
Okay.
The second traffic cop degree. The third one, I have to get up. I'll check on the screen here. You go across your stomach like that and
Yeah.
park it there again. Have yourself severed and twain.
Oh, wow.
That's now these degrees that I'm divulging now. Now all those things should happen to me. And what is really bad about it, every time that I said, so help me God, in this my undertaking, offer, enter the apprentice, a fellow craft, a master mason, whatever,
Yeah.
I actually asked God to help me, keep me steadfast, for me not to divulge those secrets, which is nonsense.
Yeah.
But now I've already blasphemed. I've asked God to protect me from doing it. And it's just making the whole religion is not even a strong enough word, our relationship with God, with Jesus Christ, making it very, very cheap
Yeah.
to invoke him in nonsense like that.
Yeah. So okay,
that's
so
the secret.
that basically opened your eyes to the fact that something wasn't quite right with Freemasonry. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, very much so. They refer to God. You know, if you see the Freemasons badge, the square and compasses, it's got a G in the middle.
Yes.
That G is the grand architect of the universe, which God is. He is the grand architect of the universe, but he's much more than that. But then, to a Muslim, the grand architect of the universe would be Allah, or whatever they call him. To a Buddhist, it would be that fat Buddha guy.
Yeah.
So the God that I serve is, call him selfish if you like, jealous. He's sharing his authority, his
well,
own character.
he's not going to. He's not going to share his authority with anyone. Yeah.
And now to be level, to be nice, it's a social club. You don't want to hurt other people's feelings. So now we also undertake, you will not interfere with another man's political views or with his religion. Now this is in direct violation of the big command that Christ gave us.
Yeah.
Probably his last command. We would rather ignore Jesus Christ's command so as not to make another Freemason feel bad about it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's subtle things which really made me go into this whole thing and eventually resign from this whole setup. There's another thing, the volume of the sacred law. That's what they call the Bible. When I was initiated, through all the degrees, even when I was master in the chair, there's an open Bible lying there. And in our case, on the English Constitution, it was a King James Bible, the one that we believe in.
Yeah.
But if this were in the East somewhere, it could have been the Quran.
India.
Yeah, it could have been the Quran.
Right.
If even in South Africa now, where anything goes, it could be a satanic Bible.
Oh,
It's called the
jeez.
volume of the sacred law. It's not the Bible. So the law that's sacred to you is not necessarily the law that's sacred to me.
That's
See,
awful.
it's those things. Yes, it's so wrong.
Yeah,
And these poor people are misled. It's nice people.
yeah,
And even when I was initiated, I thought, asking me if I believe in God, it is really, it impressed me. These people, you don't join any club where they'll ask you to admit things like that.
yeah,
So these are nice people, and that is what sticks in your mind. There were people that told me you were busy with wrong things and this conspiracy theory stuff, which I was honestly, as far as I'm concerned, it must be urban legend. I was never involved in any of that.
yeah,
But when people told me to get out of there, I thought to myself, what do you know about Masonry? You come and tell me I'm doing wrong things, but you don't know what you're talking about.
yeah.
And then they could have read something about Masonry in America, which I know nothing about. And I thought, yeah, you don't even know what you're talking. You're making
Yeah.
allegations.
No,
The big thing is never attack a person.
yeah,
And that's what I do. If I talk to fellow Masons and I want to warn them to just be cautious of these things, once you make commitments, you can get into big trouble. According to the Bible, you're opening doors.
yeah,
And if you're opening doors to something, God is fair, He'll allow him in. And then you're sitting with all those problems
yeah.
because people who know better didn't warn you.
Right.
So I say to people, I can't agree more. It was so important to me to be initiated as a Freemason. Now, I was very, very excited. And I thought, I've really made it now.
Yeah,
And then afterwards to realize that subversively I am busy getting myself more and more into trouble.
yeah,
There's one thing like if I went to the 30th degree, which would have been my next one, I believe you don't even call God the grand architect of the universe anymore. He's then called Jabulon, which is a mixture of Yahweh, Baal, and Osiris.
What?
I mean, yeah, fine, but he doesn't
Baal?
share with anybody.
Baal?
Baal is
That's Satan.
Jabulon. Yes, that's right. So, but you get so involved into it before you know where you are. You're already there.
Wow.
They ask you on your initiation. A guy comes and stands in front of you with a plate,
Yeah.
and he asks you, "Have you got anything to give in for charity?" And the guy who guides you through the lots in your initiation, he whispers to you, "You must answer no." Then you say no because you haven't, because you're wearing pajamas. Yes. But if you had, would you have been giving freely? And of course I would have been giving freely.
Yeah,
And then it says, remember, the night you were admitted into Freemasonry, poor and penniless. That can come back to you if you don't regard these things properly and if you don't help people. Now you give for charity for a cause that's not really supported or that's not really honored by God.
yeah,
So what are you doing? You're just putting another curse on yourself.
yeah. Now, Otto,
And
how
like-
did
yes.
you resign from Freemasons?
Well, after these things, there was actually another one. It's about just like to share with you.
Sure.
You take obligation that you will not approach your brother's wife, sister, mother, or daughter with unclean ideas, which is nice. I thought this is very cool. But then afterwards, I started thinking about it. My neighbor, who is not on the square, who is not a Mason, I can do to his mother, daughter, wife, whatever I like. But do you think you made this commitment? You didn't make any commitment. You just said you won't mess around with your fellow Freemasons, wife and daughters and sister, whatever.
Yeah.
So these things then made me decide I've had enough of it. And I also know that they say if you resign from Freemasonry, you can never resign. If you do, they'll take you out.
Yeah.
You know that there's alleged, rumors are that Jack the Ripper was a Mason and he was covered by the district or the Grand Master in Masonry. it's all these conspiracy things.
Right.
The people who try to get him into trouble were then killed and what have you. I wrote a letter to my craft lodge, to the Royal Arts, and to the 18th degree, to all of them, explaining that I don't find it compatible with my beliefs anymore and I would like to resign. And they all accepted it. One guy came back, he actually phoned me and he said, "What is your problem?" And I said, "No, it contradicts what Christ wants me to do.
Yeah.
And I'd rather hurt Christ after everything he's done for me. There's no way that I want to do anything that makes him feel bad."
Yeah.
And he accepted it just like that. I resigned. I took all my regalia, and in accordance with the Book of Acts, I burnt the stuff.
You burnt it?
Even the Bible, I burnt it. I set it alight, because you can check in the Book of Acts that what they did to stuff that's wrong. My ring, it was a very nice thing. It was a red one with the golden inlays and everything. I flattened it with a hammer and I put it in that fire as well. All my regalia I set alight. And rude as it may seem, even the Bible. It was a King James, but on the cover, it didn't say Holy Bible only. It had the Masonic emblem here, big, all over it.
Right. So it was a Freemasons version of the Bible.
It was a Freemason Bible. It was a proper Bible, but even so, that I prayed about it and I just got the feeling, get rid of it.
Get rid of the symbols.
Yes, and I set it alight.
Yeah.
And, well, it did work. There are certain things, that you just have to do. In the first degree, you commit yourself to say to my fellow Freemasons, "I'll support you in all your laudable undertakings," which sounds so kosher. In the third degree, the same thing goes a bit further. It says, "I will support you in all your undertakings." Then, it is on a soft note, murder and treason excluded. But all the other things, you will support them. So there's another urban legend: if you're a Mason and you take an oath in a court of law, turn your ring around so the judge can see you on the square, and you'll get the least possible, the lightest.
Okay, because the judge is a Freemason.
Yes.
Right.
Which, I say, I haven't experienced it myself, but it makes very much sense to me.
Yeah.
It says, "I will support you, murder and treason excluded."
Right.
Even to make people now think, there are certain things you can't do.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, there are a lot of things you can't do. And the further you get involved there, the worse it gets. You asked me about the grades.
Yes.
If we have enough time, there's time. I can tell you about that. There are 33. In the craft lodge, that is the entered apprentice, first degree, fellow craft, the second degree, and the master mason, third degree. That's the so-called blue lodge. And then you are basically a master mason.
Right.
You don't need to go any further than that. The Grand Master doesn't have to go further than that, because once you're a third degree, a Master Mason, you can become Grand Master, District Grand Master, what have you. But now all these other side degrees and things. In the Scottish Rite, that's where I've been mostly involved. The fourth degree is called the Secret Master, then the Perfect Master, Intimate Secretary, and it goes on: Master of 9, Elect of 15, Sublime Knight, Grand Master Architect. The 16th degree is Prince of Jerusalem, and then 17, 18, Knight of the Pelican and Eagle, Sovereign Prince, Rosecross. That's the chapter of Rosecross. That's as far as I got to the 18th. The apron has even got a pelican on it.
Wow.
But then this whole thing about a pelican is that's a bird that bleeds itself to death for its kids. And now we're coming back to mockery with Christianity again.
Yeah. Now, look, I've got to ask you this question when we talk about degrees. Nelson Mandela, when he got out of prison, he actually met up with a group of people who were the Knights of Malta. How do the Knights of Malta?
Yes.
How do the Knights of Malta cross over with Freemasonry?
That's the other side of the house. That's the York Rite. You know, this was the Scottish Rite that I'm talking
Yes.
about now. They go up to 32, and that's where they stop. The York Rite goes to the 10th. You become a Mark Master, a Past Mark, Master of Excellence, a Holy Royal Arch, which is the 7th degree. They only go to 10 degrees. And then you get the Knights of Malta, all that's funny. I didn't go that route. Although at the end, the 33rd degree guys can come from them or from the Scottish Rite. But I saw a photograph of Nelson Mandela wearing that Malta
Yes.
robe, if you call it that. So he must have definitely been there. And it is, see, 1, 2, 3 is the craft lots, the blue lots. Then there's the Scottish Rite of 32 degrees, the York Rite of 10, plus those side degrees, which include that Malta thing, which I'm not 100% sure of, but he definitely was involved there. I saw him in that uniform, and that ends up as well with the third degree called the Grand Sovereign Inspector General. So from both sides, you can end up the 33rd. I think there are something like 12 of them in the world.
Now, I've got to ask you this question. Okay, why would they bestow a 33rd degree on Nelson Mandela, who obviously didn't have any history in Freemasonry? All it does is make people who are not involved with the Freemasons suspicious, because it's like, you know, what is it that he's now going to be a Knight of Malta when he's going to be a political heavyweight in South Africa? You know, it's sort of like, okay, well, what's going on here?
I can't agree more. Personally, I think he was make this Knight of Malta, which is somewhere between the 10th and the 32nd degree. There are only 3 or 4 of those degrees, but it makes him subject to the Grand Sovereign 33rd degree. So if these guys tell him what to do, he doesn't have much of a choice. And that's where I tend to believe there is much more to it than meets the eye, than I've been involved with. I'm sure the Illuminati, 33rd degree Masons, Satanism, all tie up at the top. And I think Nelson Mandela was brought in there just to subdue him. He was never this nice gentleman that everybody thought he was.
Yeah.
He actually, if he had it his way, there would have been a lot of people killed like it's going nowadays.
Yeah.
But he had to submit to the top structures. And what is easier than putting someone in there? It's like
But then Otto,
the colonel.
why would he actually become a Knight of Malta if he has to submit to somebody else? That's really the point. They must have some incredible power over South Africa for him to actually agree to that, because if he's actually agreeing to a process where he's now beholden to another Knight of Malta who's the Grand Master, or the number 33, he's compromising his authority. Very
much so. As I say, I'm speculating now, but I think I've got a bit of an idea what it's all about. This 33rd, most of them are actually sitting in London and in America. So when Mandela was released, I think there were also quite a few provisos. We'll release you, but this, that, and the other. And I think this Knight of Malta thing is just to make him realize he's not the boss of the world. Even now, the present president, he wanted to admit Putin to South Africa when he had this BRICS summit a month ago. And I believe the president of the United States told him, you allow Putin in there without handing him over, and you face the consequences. So eventually Putin's Minister of Foreign Affairs attended.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, okay. There's like big...
Let's get back to you. So once you resigned, how did the other Freemasons respond to that? What, the guys in your chapter?
Yes. So I say, most people accepted it. Some of them blamed me. They thought I was stupid. Some, you know what they say, the minute you really accept Christ in your life, lots of friends aren't your friends anymore.
Yeah.
So they gave me a bit of a cold shoulder, but they never were hostile to me or anything like that. We still greeted each other, but we're not big buddies anymore.
Right.
But none of them ever came down hard on me. There was one guy who phoned me years after I resigned, and he said, I believe you in Kimberley now. That's where I was at the stage. And he says, I'm in Bloemfontein. We must meet up again. He told me where he's now with Masonry. And when I told him I'm not involved anymore, I resigned. He started watering down this whole exciting conversation we had, and we never spoke again. Which suits me. It's fine. It's his choice. So people didn't take it too keenly, but then I was never, ever threatened about it or verbally attacked.
Yeah. So you never received any threats after you left?
No, not at all. Not at all. And that was in the 90s, I think about 93, 94 that I resigned,
Wow.
which is 30 years ago.
That's a long time ago,
And
yeah.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, well, there you go. Now, do you have any regrets about resigning?
I can say I have regrets in the sense that the camaraderie, I miss it in life. To get together with all these guys once every fortnight or once a month, it was nice. We don't always only want female company if we go home and sit there with the family. A person needs to get a bit of a breakaway. I regret I miss that, but for insulting Christ, it's a small price to pay.
Yeah.
So the regret is just that I'm a bit sorry to have done it, but it's no big regret. It's
something
it's
you
just
had
a
to
sad
do.
thing.
Yeah. Now,
Yes.
I was actually involved with buffaloes. My dad was a buffalo.
RAOB, Royal Antediluvian Order.
That's it. Yeah, Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes. Yeah, and I used to go to the meetings for about a year, I guess, and also like the Freemasons, quite a secretive group, but it was a brotherhood.
Yeah.
It was just guys going out there and having a chat, and someone would tell a joke, and it was just a very informal, fun day. Was that similar to the Freemasons?
Very, very much similar. It's like, I think, the Broederbond in South Africa, where the Afrikaans people after the Second World War became their own. They started their Broederbond thing, which very much was anti-Masonry, but based on the same principles. And I think the Buffaloes, I actually met one guy, and he told me he was allowed into a Freemasons lodge. They didn't screen him. The junior deacon is supposed to screen any visitor.
Right.
As I said earlier, the lodge is working in the second degree. He will just make sure with handshakes and words that you are supposed you can enter there. You qualified. This buffalo said he was never even tested. He went through the whole evening, the ritual, and afterwards he had this party with everyone, and they never even realized until he told them when at the table they asked him, well, give us a bit of your story. You're welcome. You tell us, as I said, bring you greetings of the Grand Master of wherever.
Yeah.
He told them that he's actually a buffalo. That's when they realized this guy wasn't was part of something that wasn't really accepted as part of Freemasonry. But he gave me a set of cufflinks, and I still have them. And I don't regard them as such a threat that I would have destroyed or burnt them, because it's nothing Masonic. It's just a nice gesture from a friend.
My dad loved the buffaloes, and he used to go to the meetings every week, and he often landed up in the chair directing the meeting, and this is quite sad. Well, it's very sad. What actually happened was he was actually at the Fremantle branch of the Buffaloes, and it was a Friday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, something like that. There were about 12 people in the room. You know, he had the gavel, and halfway through the meeting, my dad suddenly slumped in his chair. And of course, everybody was very concerned, and they rushed around to see how he was. And he sort of came around and he said, "No, I'm fine, I'm fine." And the meeting progressed. They thought he was okay. And what had happened was he had had a huge stroke, and he didn't realize it. And after about 20 seconds of saying he was okay, he just fell dead on the floor. He was just dead. But, you know, he was doing what he loved. He loved Freemason. Sorry, he loved the Buffaloes.
Yes.
And
with his friends.
Yeah, and his death was so quick. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to die, is really quick, because much rather that than sort of have years and years of pain and cancer, and you know. So I think he was quite blessed to die that way.
Maybe the second best. I think the best would be just to die in your sleep.
Oh,
you go to bed and you wake up next morning.
Absolutely, yeah. That would be the best way. Now, look.
I'm glad you've got fond memories of your dad.
Oh, very much so.
And I don't think that all these funny things, like in our third degree, you actually get raised up, and that's also a bit of a mocking thing. It's the Hiram above story, but this guy got killed, and then they tried to raise him up. The junior deacon warden tries, the senior warden tries, and the master rises him from the dead. He's actually lying. I was in on a sheet.
That's not good.
Just the outline of a coffin on it.
Yeah.
And folded over me. Then the master raised me on the 5 points of fellowship.
Yeah.
Now, the only person that was ever raised from the dead
was
not
Jesus.
a human being.
Yeah.
Yes. That's also one of these things I thought, now we'll watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when they started the dress, when I was in the chair, in Afrikaans they call it achtbare meester, which is honorable master.
Right.
But in the English constitution, you called worshipful master. And that immediately rang lots of bells in my head.
Yeah.
Worshipful. Worshipful.
Well,
way.
The thing that kills it for me, Ottie, is that when you get to the 32nd degree, you said that you've got to worship a combination of Yahweh, Baal, and some other thing. And Baal is Satan. So, you know, that's evil.
Yeah, and it's a combination.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Dear Lord,
yeah,
just two satanic creatures, and he's the creator. How can you compare him even to those people?
Yeah, exactly. Now, look, there's. I'm going to wrap up this live stream shortly, but just tell me why or how the South African Parliament in Cape Town landed up being erected on Freemasons' ground. In fact, there is a little Freemason chapter on the grounds of the South African Parliament. What's the story behind that?
That is, at the time when South Africa was a British protectorate, there was the Boer War and all that, where the Queen Victoria's people actually fought for South Africa with Paul Kruger and those people. But in Cape Town, the Cape was always a British colony. And there were people like Sir George Grey and the other big one, Rhodes, Cecil John Rhodes. They invested their money in those things. And that, I think the Parliament building was actually presented by Cecil John Rhodes, who was a big Mason. I think it's not like the Masons ran the country, but quite a lot of them were Freemasons. That's where
So
that
Rhodes
connection.
was a Freemason.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Wow. All right. I didn't know that. So when we talk about the South African Parliament being on Freemason ground, that stems back to the days of Cecil Rhodes.
Yes, Cecil Rhodes and his pals.
Yeah. Look,
Even the University of South Africa.
I love Cape Town, especially those old gardens. You know, the squirrels are. I mean, that's such a beautiful spot.
Yeah, Cape Town's gone a bit to the dogs now, but I believe everything will turn out well in the end.
Yeah.
As long as we know who is in charge.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't be despondent about it.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm going to wrap up this live stream, Otto, but before I do, is there anything you'd like to just say that perhaps we haven't covered about Freemasonry, something that you'd like to just mention?
I would just like to ask any Mason who's looking to this, who's sharing this with us now or in the future, to please just pray about it. Make sure that you are not endangering yourself any longer. You're on very, very thin ice. And I say it from the depth of my heart, love for my fellow human beings. I want you to be saved. But God is fair. And if we have a look at what happened to who's that guy that Satan wanted to destroy, can you believe it? But God told him, you can do anything, but don't take his life. He lost his wife, he lost his kids, he lost his health, everything. And because Satan went and he spoke to God about it, God is fair. And you are on very, very thin ice. Yeah. Please get more serious with your relationship with the Lord. And bear in mind, I think we're living in desperately close to end times.
Yeah. Well, I think what is becoming very clear to me is the higher you go up in Freemasonry, the more evil it becomes. So, you know, at the lower level, it's quite innocent. But as you go higher and higher, it becomes quite satanic.
I agree. I can't agree more.
Okay.
That's how I see it as well.
Okay. Now, just one final question.
Yes, God.
These black and white tiles on the floor, there's a lot of controversy about them. What's that all about?
I think it's very much like the yin-yang. You know, for every good, there must be evil as well. There's a balance between good and evil in the world, which is satanic in my opinion.
Yeah.
There is a lot of evil in the world because Adam and Eve sold us out to Satan.
Yeah.
But Jesus bought the world back for us, and there is no way that there must be an equilibrium between good and evil. At this moment in time, evil is looking like it's in charge, but the white world definitely, and I'm not talking racial now, the white tiles and the black tiles, they should all, like it says in the book of Revelations, all will become white in the end.
Absolutely. All right. Otto, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been really interesting to learn a bit about Freemasonry, and it's kind of cleared a few things in my mind. And it's funny, one of my good friends is Dr. Philippe, and he's a third-degree Freemason. And we had a live stream about 2 years ago, I guess, where we had a guy who was not a Freemason, but he was exposing Freemasonry. And he was saying how evil it was and what happened at the 33rd degree and all this sort of stuff. And I actually contacted Philippe and I said, Philippe, I've been told that Freemasonry is evil. And he said, no, he said, it's a great little place where we go and we get together and we have a chat. And, you know, it's a social thing. And
Philippe's one of those people that made me join.
Yeah. So look, there are two sides to Freemasonry, is what we're saying, and As you go higher up,
Yeah.
the more suspicious you've got to get.
That's right. And you must just pray for the Lord to open up your eyes,
Yeah.
not the wrong light, not the
Yeah.
light that the Masons want you to see, but the real light,
Yeah.
Christ.
Okay, fantastic. Otto, thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you, Scott, and you have a wonderful day. Thanks for getting up so early there. God bless.
Not a problem. Okay, mate. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that was Otto or Ottie, and look, I really enjoyed that discussion, and I've got my dad's old buffalo regalia, and I thought I'd just show it to you. That's his little thing that he wears around his waist, or he used to wear around his waist, and what is really something I'd never actually noticed before. You'll notice that Ottie talks about the little buckle with the snake on it. Well, guess what? Same with the buffaloes. You see the snake? That's actually how you clip your this thing. So buffaloes has obviously got some very nasty little connotations as well. This is what Dad used to wear around his wrist, little KOM. And the final thing I've got from the buffaloes is the Grand Lodge of WA. This is what he used to wear around his shoulder, and it's got this little piece at the bottom. So, yeah, that's the buffalo regalia. Guys, I'm going to wrap up this live stream now, and I do apologize I couldn't get Ottie to answer your questions, but because of load shedding, we did have to pre-record that. Thank you to the mods for keeping an eye on the side chat. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Johannesburg time, we'll be having another live stream where we cover all sorts of subjects. So please subscribe to us on YouTube and please register on lovinglivetv.com. And, go and check out the platform that we've moved to. And I've got to say that there are a few videos I put up this morning which are very interesting. And one in particular where apparently another YouTuber cleaned out my bank account, according to someone else on YouTube. Well, not when I last looked, but, it's an interesting world when we go on social media. All right, I'm going to go out with one of our theme songs. Now, okay, I've actually got a few theme songs in here, and I'm going to ask you guys which one you would like to go out with. And I've got Hier Bly Ek Boer, we'll make that one. We've then got Ons vir jou Suid-Afrika, we'll make that 2. Then we got Op Ons Rots, we'll make that 3. And then I've got 2 others, and this is at the suggestion of Marius. You might remember the other night we listened to, what was it about? We listened to this, that's right. It was to do with the Witkruis Monument with Chris Harmsen. And there was this guy, Daniel, singing. And there are 2 of his songs that I've got here. One is called Ek en Jy moet saam staan, we'll make that 4. And then 5 is also Daniel, Ons moet hulle nooit vergeet nie. So I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds to put your bids down. Okay, we're getting a lot for 3, which is Op Ons Rots at this stage. Take care, Myra. Good to see you here tonight. Take care, Margie. You're very welcome, Henry. So we've got between Ons vir jou Suid-Afrika and Op Ons Rots at this stage. All right. Who's gonna give us a... Okay, MHD has said 4, which is Ek en Jy moet saam staan. And Marius has said 5, which is Ons moet hulle nooit vergeet nie. That's a Witkruis Monument. All right, I'm going to try something different. We're going to go with 5. And 1, because this was Marius's suggestion that we get these songs. and 2, because we never had it before. So let's hope we don't get a copyright strike. I'm sure we won't. But here comes Ons moet haar nooit vergeet nie. And we're talking about the farm murders in South Africa. Take care, guys. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow night. Bye for now.
Elke kruis het 'n naam. Elke naam het 'n van. Al was sout van die aarde, elke man, elke vrou en elke kind. Hy was daar vir jou en my. Met haar lewe het sy betaal. Dis asof ons die pad ken, elke groet, elke traan en vaarwel, hulle almal tel. Ons moet vashou wie ons het, kyk wie ons verloor het. Ons moet vasstaan wat ons is, glo in wat ons glo. Ons moet keer op keer hoor, as die stal die grond moet inboor. Ons moet trots wees wie ons is, nader aan mekaar staan. Ons moet vashou aan geloof, glo in wat ons glo. Want hier vat ons hande, as die stal die grond moet inboor. Ons moet al nooit vergeet nie. Ons moet al nooit vergeet nie. Die vraag word hier gevra, waarna hier vandaan? Die herdenking van al lewens, elke man, vrou en kind. Elke boer wat ons verloor, vat 'n stukkie van ons weg. Kyk hier teen die berg op, elke groet, traan en vaarwel, ons almal tel. Ons moet vashou wie ons het. Ons moet vashou wie ons het, kyk wie ons verloor het. Ons moet vasstaan wat ons is, glo in wat ons glo. Ons moet keer op keer hoor, as die stal die grond moet inboor. Ons moet trots wees wie ons is, nader aan mekaar staan. Ons moet vashou aan geloof, glo in wat ons glo. Want hier vat ons hande, as die stal die grond moet inboor. Ons moet al nooit vergeet nie. Ons moet al nooit vergeet nie.